Hey, what's up everybody, it's me Jordan, and I'm back with another drawing video. In this video, I'm colouring in the line work which I previously did for these 16 different manga eyes. If you haven't seen the inking video, I'll put up a link for you guys so you can check that out first and see how I did the line work. I decided to start out by shading the whites of the eyes. I'm just putting a bit of grey kind of at the top of the eye, and this will help make it look more rounded and give it a 3D look. I decided to go ahead and colour that for all of the eyes just to start with, because it was taking a lot of time to switch between all the different colours for each eye, and it was just kind of annoying, so I thought I'd just smash out all the whites of the eyes and then move on to colouring it. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. Sometimes I'll make it even a little bit darker, but I'll do that later with like a black pencil just to add a bit more of a 3D effect. So the higher the contrast, the more 3D it's going to look. Now I'm colouring the first eye, and I decided I wanted to go with a brownish eye, but with a little bit of purple and maybe a bit of yellow as well. My main goal with these eyes was to just experiment with some different colour combinations. I wasn't really too worried if they didn't turn out good, because I'd rather they turn out terrible in a practice drawing like this than an actual drawing, like for a final artwork. I was just trying out different things. Some of the eyes didn't work so well, and a couple of them I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I didn't think they were going to turn out any good, but it kind of worked. So that's always a positive. For these eyes, I just started out by putting down some base colours. So I'd choose a couple of different colours which I wanted to experiment with, and then I'll just kind of roughly lay it down and then build it up over the top of that. I also used my Prismacolor pencils to add a bit more shading and darken some of it up. This little eye on the end, I actually think it turned out really cool. I used pinks and some purples and blues, and I think it's got a really cool bright look. A bit like it's fluorescent or neon, and I really wasn't expecting that. I tried not to do too much shading with my Prismacolor pencils on it because it just didn't need it. I wanted to keep it having a softer look, and sometimes the Prismacolors make it look a little bit textured, and that might not be the look you're going for. The next eye, I decided to go with a blue and green one. You'll notice the pupil of a bunch of these eyes aren't actually black. I experimented with a bunch of different colours, so that's something that you can try out for yourself. I generally darken it up with a black Prismacolor anyway, so it doesn't look too weird, but you still kind of have some light coloured pupils, and that can be an interesting effect. I went for an albino styled eye as well, because who knows, maybe one day you'll need to draw an albino. Probably not, but now you know how to do it. I think it turned out kind of cool, just for something different. It's kind of fun to play around with different ideas and try different colours. I mean, that's probably one of the most realistic eyes out of all of the ones here. These colours are just completely random, at least the albino one kind of makes sense, I guess. It's worth mentioning that if I was doing any of these eyes for a final drawing, I would put a lot more time into it, and be more careful with the colour combinations as well. I would test that out beforehand, and make sure the colours actually blend well, because some of them don't blend the best, and I'm just kind of going for it anyway, just to kind of figure that out with these practice eyes. But you definitely don't want to do that if you're going into your final drawing. You've already spent the time drawing it up, you don't want to stuff it up by choosing the wrong colours, because all that takes is a bit of preparation beforehand. Just have a scrap piece of paper and practice blending your colours on there, then you can choose the right colours so you don't have to stuff it up. You can pretty much put as much or as little detail as you want into these eyes. You can go crazy and add lots of flecks of colour like you see in realistic eyes, or you can just have a gradation of colour as well, and it's got more of a flat look, but that still can look really awesome as well. So it's worth experimenting and just seeing what you enjoy. I generally like to have a bit more detail than the eyes that I've got here. I'd probably spend a bit more time adding some details in with my Prismacolors and just build it up a bit more, adding some of those flecks of colour and maybe making them look a bit more rounded and 3D. But when you're drawing 16 eyes all at the same time, you get over it really quickly, as I kind of found out. Especially having to change between all the different colours, it just gets pretty time consuming, so you kind of can't be bothered spending that much time adding in all the little details to it. But you definitely can, so do that on your drawings and you'll get a better result than I did. One of the colour combinations which I was pleasantly surprised by was the orange and light blue with a dark brown pupil in the middle. I guess it kind of makes sense because orange and blue are complementary colours, but it's not something I really thought of to put in an eye. And I think it worked out surprisingly well, so that's something I might implement in a future drawing. I'm not too sure, but I think it definitely looks pretty nice. I saved all the white highlights for last, so I can just go in and add it for all of the eyes at the same time. So I'm just adding the shiny bits to make the eyes look nice and reflective, and I'm also adding a couple of highlights to the eyelashes as well, just to make them stand out a little bit more. You can really go crazy with the highlights in the eyes, it just depends on the style you want to have. I like to have a decent amount of highlights in the eyes because I think it really helps bring attention to them and helps them stand out more, and you generally want to have lots of attention drawn straight to the character's eyes. You can also add more detail to the eyes with the highlights by adding to the flecks with your white gel pen. So I'll just quickly mention I'm using a Signo white gel pen for these highlights. There's plenty of other gel pens as well, but I found this one works pretty well. It's a little bit inconsistent, so sometimes you'll need to clean the tip, just draw on a blank piece of paper and that generally goes alright. It's because once you've done a couple of layers with Prismacolours, the paper can get a little bit waxy and the pen just doesn't flow freely on that, so you're definitely going to have to just clean it off every now and again. But that's pretty much it for this drawing video. I'm just adding the final details and finishing everything up. I hope this video was a little bit helpful, or at least inspired you to try some different colour combinations and different eye shapes and that kind of thing. If you want to keep up to date with the drawings that I'm doing, all the works in progress, and see what's coming up, what will be in future videos, check me out on Instagram. I post lots of stuff there, and the photos on there are way better quality than the scans at the end of these videos. I'm buying a new scanner, so hopefully that will change soon. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. And like always, I will catch you guys next week in next week's drawing video. To find some form of enjoyment in it, because if you don't, you're just going to burn out. But on the flip side, enjoyment can come from lots of practice as well. As you see your artwork improve, more enjoyment can come. I kind of think that we tend to enjoy things where